Share
Thank
those emojis on
you.
those fires going up.
Thank you so much. That was awesome. I'm gonna see if I could be there for the 26th. I'm supposed to be in New York. For those that don't know, I'm currently in Florida. So but I'm on the 31st. I'm being awarded, and I should be there. So I'm gonna try to see if I could come a little bit earlier. Let's see if I actually make it. Now I do see Phil Andrews here with us, and he is, if you don't know, the president of Long Island African American Chamber of Commerce. I'm not sure if, yes, okay, great, you're there.
Yes,
Just
Dr.
want you
Diva.
to,
Yes, I hear
yes.
all these good words, so I had to chime in. It was really, it's really a great presentation, and it's a great time to renew people. I've been hearing the conversation, and that's what we need. We need to be working at optimum level, and we need these type of events so we can perform optimally. So I just want to thank you publicly putting on this event.
And thank you so much for your help and assistance in getting the word out there. How can they reach the Long Island African American Chamber of Commerce?
Well, simply, it's very easy. Google is very smart. They could just say New York State's largest African American Chamber of Commerce. We own that space, and they'll see plenty of work, and they can also just put in Long Island African American Chamber. So it's very easy. Google knows they get you the best chamber that you put those words in, and we'll come up. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Phil. Appreciate it. And I just want to step in here for a second and just to say we are having a raffle towards the end. In order for you to be in the raffle, we're asking for donation for the National Educational Venture Alliance. And Javon, who's assistant, he will state the website that you could go to. And I mean, no matter what the donation is, that's how you're able to be in a raffle. We are lucky enough to have other individuals have donated before the event. So I know some are not actually here, but they have participated. So Javon just put the information there. Appreciate it. And now we move back over to Dr. G.
Hi, everyone. Wonderful presentation there, Orlandina. Cynthia, I see your hand's been up for a while. I'm not sure if you have a question, but if you don't mind maybe typing it in the chat for us and we can take a look at it and share it. Or when we get closer to the end, when we're going to do our breakout rooms, we can also have you share that so that you don't forget your thought. So one of the things before we go into our next panel is when Orlandina talked about, one of her things is that flat belly, right? We forget that that part is our core. As women, we have to be strong. Why wouldn't be wanting to be doing things that will help to make us better? And I think what I would ask is for us to put one strategy, I guess, in terms of what it is that we want to do in terms of our overall health goals for some of the things Orlandina shared. I think I think for me, I would say 30 minutes a bit much, but there are lots of things you can do. And it was so hysterical. Yeah, we find time to just scroll through the feed of mindless stuff that goes right back to self-esteem issues and overall health and wellness, right? We have to just reclaim those 30 minutes. It doesn't have to be 1 30-minute, it could be throughout the day that you get to do it. So put something in there let's see what some of those goals are. And make sure you connect with all the speakers that are here, follow them on social media, check out their products and the stuff that they're selling. We have to support each other. Most of us here this evening are women. Let's support women, let's cut the bias. Let's, support each other and be strong together. We're going to move in to what is going to be our mental health panel. And I think I covered everything. I think, Neva, you just did the bit about the education and the donation. Please make sure you donate to the cause and check it in the chat. The mental health panel is going to be moderated by Carmisha Superville. Carmisha is an author, host, speaker, founder of EBK events. She is an MWBE NY State certified. She's a graduate of Lehman College with a degree in business administration and marketing. She later pursued a master's in urban policy at Murphy Institute, CUNY. She is the founder of EPK Events, a full-service event planning and consultation firm located in Greater New York. She has planned events for celebrities, influencers such as Atlanta #1 realtor and broker, is it Kiana Watson, private clients and city agencies such as New York Comptroller's Office. Let's welcome our next moderator and our panel.
Of course. Thank you so much, Dr. G. It's an honor to be here, as well as Dr. Nerva. Thank you. So excited. Certainly thank you for all the presenters as well. I'm really excited to be here. So good afternoon. As Dr. G stated, my name is Kamisha Superville, and we will be having a great conversation about mental wellness. And certainly as working women and men, we certainly need to have these conversations. So welcome to the stage, our speakers. Felicia, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Okay, welcome. Yes. Do I have Don? Is Don here with us?
Yes, Don Sinkton,
Awesome.
I'm here.
Welcome. And Zoran.
Hi, everyone. Zoran here.
Hi. Great, great. So welcome. So of course, I will give you guys the opportunity to briefly state who you are and your specialty. So Felicia, you can take it away.
Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Neva, and thank you all for being here as well to contribute to such an amazing event. My name is Felicia Smith. I'm a licensed professional counselor here in Texas. I'm the founder of Relate to Clinic, where at Relate to Clinic, we focus on helping clients heal from the past, cope with their present, and focus on their future. Donna said something really valuable. When we have these self-talk conversations, it's all about what are we talking about? So definitely want to get into some good conversation this evening among my peers. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you. And Don, you can introduce yourself.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Don Sinkfield. I am one of the founders and the vice president of the New Hope Mental Health Counseling in Valley Stream. We doubled the amount of people that we have helped over the last 2 years during COVID. And, you know, I'm just happy that mental health is becoming something that more and more people are unashamed and not hesitant to reach out to get. And we're, you know, trying to provide those services here in Valley Stream. And we have clients from all over New York State. So I'm happy to be here to talk about this important issue on International Women's Day and during Women's Month.
Absolutely. Thank you. And we are happy to have you. And of course, last but never least, Zoran, please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Zoran Lazarus Theodore. I'm the owner of Zen Life Therapy. I work up here in New York, upstate New York, in the Hudson Valley. And Zen Life Therapy provides support to individuals, women. I do a lot of self-love groups, right? Working with adolescents, providing a safe space for adolescents to come and to really highlight, right, that the idea of mental health and to be able to ask for help and to be able to seek each other and to support each other, right, as in starting from that age, as well as empowerment for women.
Thank you. Lovely. Well, we will divulge into a very structured conversation. And the first question will go to Felicia. Felicia, what do you think, or what do you do if you're worried about your mental health? What should someone do if they're worried about their mental health?
Oh, thanks. I had to unmute myself. I would recommend that a client would get help. I know that it's a stigma sometimes for people, and sometimes people of color, sometimes women, because we're told you have to be strong. So it's a really good idea to really trust what you're feeling. And if you just don't feel like you're doing well, you're being impacted at work with your mental health status, you're being impacted in your relationship, just your overall balance of life, it's a good idea to get help. Like the lady of Zen Life, we provide a safe space for clients to really come and be their authentic self. So it's a really good idea to just reach out and make a phone call and you'll be surprised at what is waiting to embrace you with the challenges that you may be facing. 2 words, get help.
Get help. Recognizing the problem and getting help. So, same question. Don, you can answer the question. What should someone do if they're worried about their mental health? And that's if they're conscious of it as well.
Yeah, I think we see a lot more people being aware of mental health and not feeling that it's, very shameful. One of the things that I think that I appreciate about 90s, 2000 culture was that although there was a lot of quote unquote mindless reality TV shows, they did show these individuals who was, featured on the show going to therapists. And, nowadays it's easier than ever to, you don't have to find a location to go to. You can simply go on one of the search tools, find a Black therapist, find a woman therapist, find a therapist that's particular to the issues, that specializes in the issues that you are experiencing. Zip code filters, everything is there to really point you in a direction that you can actually read about the therapist, see an image of the therapist. So although therapy is not the only way to engage in self-care, I really believe that maybe 4 out of 5 people can benefit from just talking out what is happening with a professional. So I totally agree with that.
Yeah, seeking help. What if you're not even conscious about it? That's a whole nother conversation, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Zoran, please, what do you do if you are struggling with your mental health? What is the first approach should you do?
Yeah, I like the fact that you mentioned about not conscious. I often tell clients we need to activate, right? I encourage you to activate curiosity, right? Asking yourself, is something wrong? Is something off? Am I not feeling good? How long have I been feeling good? What am I thinking? What am I feeling? So really activating that curiosity. And that takes some time to get there. Once we're there, I will encourage people here on the panel, and as you see other, your family members and so forth and so on, and your children, encourage to tell someone, really, and I think Don, you mentioned that, we're getting to the point, and one of my biggest thing is to advocate that therapy, mental health is not a dirty word. So to be able to say, I'm not feeling good, I'm off, I'm overwhelmed, I need help, I need to meet with you, being able to tell a friend and tell a spouse or tell a partner. Once you do that, we'll actually also ask to implement self-care, but implement it in a specific way. I'll implement it in the way of physical wellness, mental wellness, emotional wellness, and spiritual wellness. When I see a client and they say to me, Zoran, I'm doing all the self-care and I'm still just not feeling myself, I said, go and seek professional help. And normalizing that, right? And I started from the young teens, from the college students. If you're not feeling well as you're entering college, seek out, where is that office that I can go and speak to someone? If I don't want to tell a parent, anyone that you can let them know that you're not feeling well, right? Therapy is not a dirty word. We all have a mind. We walk around with our mind. We walk around with our heart. So we all have a mind. We may not all be struggling with mental illness, but we all need to take care of our mental wellness. So I often said, self-care allows us to reset, to recharge, and to realign ourselves. So if you're struggling, if you're worrying about your mental health, I would say to certainly activate that curiosity and let someone know that you need help.
Love it. Love it. So let's recap, because this is really essential, especially that this is live stream. So we have a lot of folks listening. So let's recap what we heard so far from the panel of professionals. Ask for help, create a community, talk to family members, create a safe space. So that community that you would have created right? It's a safe space where you can tell someone within that community that, hey, I'm not feeling well today. Hey, I have not been feeling well for these past few months, right? Therapy. Dawn spoke about really activating and searching and filtering out what therapists, right, within your region, your locality, that really fits you, right? And the last but not least, mental health is not a negative word. Mental health is not negative. Thank you so much. I think these are really essential. Thank you. So the next question, let's talk about self-care. Dawn hinted to that a little bit earlier. So Zoran, what are some ways that self-care can support your mental and or emotional well-being? And give us like maybe 2 or 3 tips as to how the self-care looks like, because it looks like, differently for everyone. So what are some ways?
Okay, so self-care and self-care and self-love is essential. Our body hears, our body hears what our mind is saying. So self-care allows us to really equip us to be able to respond and manage those moments. We all have those moments. We're either in it, going into it, in a situation and coming out of that situation. So self-care allows us to really be able to just put that front. So for physical wellness, I would say some of the tips would be movement. We talked about that earlier, and I love that. Making time to make movement, right? Whether it's that 15 or 10 minutes. So really being able to do that. Mental wellness would be like meditation, journaling. I love my gratitude jars. I have a mason jar, and you put that gratitude, really just reflecting on that. Emotional wellness is connecting with people, calling people, letting them know, texting. We use a lot of that scrolling that we talked about earlier, really texting someone, letting them know that, that you need that support, and just being able to say, especially now with the pandemic, what we're going under with pandemic, it's being able to not have those connections. Positive self-talk, how we talk to ourselves. Yes. And then we have the spiritual wellness as far as quiet time, fellowship time, prayer time. So those are some of the tips that, as far as self-care and self-love, that I would suggest.
I think you took everything. I think you did wonderful. Thank you so much. Well, Felicia, you're next. What are some ways that we can support ourselves through self-care mentally and emotionally?
Well, at Relate to Clinic, it's integrated in care. We combine clinical with faith. For those clients that come in and they actually have these challenges where they are unaware of self-care, we teach self-autonomy, which means it's okay to have your moral compass or your self-governing system modified or improved. So we teach you about getting to know yourself. Self is not selfish. And I think sometimes clients struggle with taking care of themselves because they've been conditioned to think it's selfish just to focus on myself. I know a lot of women clients struggle with, I can't put myself first. So we teach you how to really learn how to practice healthy self-autonomy, using your moral compass to take care of yourself. So for those clients who are open to using faith practices, pray. That's tip number 1. Pray about what you want God to help you with. We carry so many responsibilities of others, and we don't put ourselves on the list. 2, get sleep at night. When you get up in the morning, you're tired, your day has already started in a negative. We teach you about sleeping. Treating your body to rest is self-care. Knowing that it's okay to block your schedule sometime and put on your schedule rest, or chill, or chillax, or me time, or remote control time, or the other remote control time, whatever that needs to look like. But taking care of yourself is praying. It's resting with good sleep, intentional sleep, which means we teach you about sleep hygiene. What does that look like? That means you need to set a schedule in the evening to really get yourself in the place where you're going to take care of your sleep. The next one is eating. How are you eating? Meal is under mood. So it's mood over meal. What's your mood like? Because whatever your mood is like is going to determine sometimes what your meal is going to look like. A lot of times clients struggle with depression and anxiety. So if you're anxious, you're going to choose something to help you feel better. If you're depressed, you're going to comfort food. I need some ice cream. I need some chocolate, which dark chocolate is very good for your endorphins and your dopamine levels and cortisol level. But it's really looking at how are you eating? Because if you react to your moods, your plate may not look as good to treat your body well. So it's counteractive of these toxins that are producing because your mood is not in a good place. So your meal may be commiserate of that meal. The other thing we teach you about is your thought process. Thoughts are everything.
Yes.
What you think has everything to do with how you feel. So it's a linear process. You have situation, thoughts, then you have emotions or mood, and then you have behaviors. So if your thoughts are not lined up in a positive manner, the mood is going to be negative. Here is where we have depression, sadness, anger, frustration, annoyed, irritability, low self-image, suicidal thoughts, self-injurious behaviors. Then we have the actual behaviors. I don't want to get up today. I don't want to go to work. So I would say start with prayer. Ask God to help you if you're a faith person. Look at your sleep, look at the way you're eating, and look at the way you're thinking. But starting with those 4 things can help you with some really good self-care practices. Of course, there are many, many more, but those are essential because how we think directs a lot. If you rule your day or structure your day, you set the tone of your day with your thought process.
Yes, yes.
Be able to see some different results.
Wow, beautiful. Well said. And even some of the different examples you all just gave, I never even thought about that. So thank you so much. Well done. You're next. What are some self-care
I mean, I heard
support?
so many great things
Yes.
that it's hard to add on, but that idea of starting with setting the tone of your day is very important. So, you know, we experience a lot of people, clients who are people of faith, and they talk about, you know, experiencing things in life from the point of view of what God wants for them, or what they believe they should be doing in their divine purpose. And I really believe that whether you are a person of faith or not, that starting the day with setting the tone, whether it's with affirmations, where you are, if you're experiencing anxiety, you're saying to yourself but out loud, I am safe, I am okay, I am able. That is so important because it really helps people to get on the right track. I also, one of the specializations that I have is I'm a CBTI, which is CBT, Cognitive Behavioral Therapy for Insomnia. And, you know, it sounds, when you hear about insomnia, it sounds very specific, like, oh, if I don't have problems sleeping, that therapy wouldn't be particularly interesting for me. But the idea of CBTI is teaching people the sleep hygiene that was just talked about is so important. You know, a lot of us were raised believing that it's normal to just have a TV on all night while we're trying to sleep. It is not, you know, optimal for you. The blue light, you know, the terminology for the, you know, that active light that it is being emitted from the TV or the cell phone is not good for sleep. And, you know, if you are using sounds to go to sleep, it's a much better idea than keeping on some kind of video that you're watching on a phone, or just having a television on. Additionally, I believe that people should not be afraid to turn off the sounds or do not disturb on those cell phones, because the phones, you know, can be a hindrance to just peace and rest. And, you know, connected to that is the idea that many people believe that because there's people that they love in the world, they have to keep their phone on 24 hours a day. But, you know, 99% of the time, you can turn your phone off during prescribed hours that you make for yourself. And if you turn those sounds off or do not disturb during certain hours, you will find that everyone will be okay, and they'll reach you at 7 a.m. or whatever time you prefer, because it's just like we set boundaries emotionally, you know, with what we want to come into our lives. It's important on that very basic level to prescribe rest for yourself.
Thank you. Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. So let's recap. We have to recap. The question was asked, what do you do to promote self-care, both mentally as well as spiritually? So now let's talk about what we heard. Meditation, right? We heard connecting with other people, texting, right? So that's how you do it, connecting with other people by texting, quiet time, fellowship, prayer, also clinical, right? Clinical, which is amazing. And Faith spoke about that. Felicia spoke about that. So thank you for that. Understanding self-autonomy, right? And blocking out your schedule. I think that is so imperative, especially for professionals, right? Really taking time and really integrating rest into your schedule. So absolutely. And Dawn topped it off with sound, right? Turning the television off, right? So this is really, and of course, diet. Diet plays a big role in our mental wellness and self-care. So certainly thank you for that. This is amazing. Okay, let's get a little bit transparent, shall we?
Yes,
Shall we?
shall.
Okay.
Yes,
Let's
we
get a little
shall.
bit transparent. Certainly, we are all on this call and this amazing conversation, but we all have collectively gone through this pandemic together. And so the pandemic, let's talk about it. How has the pandemic changed your relationship, i.e., for example, with your spouse, with your colleagues, right? With your coworkers, with your team members, and or your love life? Care to share, anyone?
Yes.
All right, Felicia.
This is in our wheelhouse at Relate to Clinic. Relate to Clinic was really, it was founded on the principles of helping the individual holistically so that we could help the family together as a community and help the world. But it starts with the individual. We've seen a lot of variations of separations during the pandemic. And we're all adults here. I believe this is an adult crowd. In the pandemic, we saw an influx of separations and to be divorces because individuals, you know, you walk down the aisle, you have this great idea of what this spouse is going to do and be, and all the expectations of how they're going to make you happy. Then there's such a thing as a pandemic that happened, and you were forced to be in the house with this person that you are either in a relationship with, living with, or married to, right? Well, over time, sometimes if you don't do maintenance or check-ins or checkups in the relationship area, spouses or partners, they get complacent, they get tired, they may draw interest elsewhere. And we saw that a lot of people decided that this person is just not for me anymore. Yeah. You know, they are no longer able to have that break to go to work because we were quarantined, right? So looking at this person, oh, I really don't like them. You know, we don't have anything in common anymore, or we've grown so far apart. I don't know if I want to recover this relationship. Or it's the other extreme. I've been seeing somebody else at work, and now I can't see them at work, and now I'm home and have to deal with this partner, and I don't like them anymore. I want the person at work. So we've seen so much. So I've just charged clients with, be honest with yourself. Be very candid with yourself about 3 things. You can write this down or take note. Check your expectations plus your reality. And if they're off, it's going to equal a disappointment. Expectations plus reality equals a disappointment when they're off. And then some math. People during the pandemic were doing basic math, adding, multiplying, subtracting, and dividing. Does this partner add to my life? Do they multiply my life? Those are two positives. Or do they divide or subtract from my life? So dividing, do they divide me from my family? Do they divide me or subtract from my faith walk or my purpose or my business life? You know, so a lot of assessing was taking place and we saw an influx of a lot of changes. Divorce to bees were a new thing. So this is how I've seen as a clinician, the pandemic affecting relationships.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so let's wrap up. Certainly, Dawn, you care to share? How has the pandemic affected relationships?
So I always say that there's some drugs that enhance or add to the mood that you're in. And that's how I describe the pandemic. If you had bad home conditions or things were not on an even keel, or as Felicia was just saying, there was some maybe dishonesty or things that were not happening that were transparent, then more than likely putting people together for that all day and having the children in the house often, it really created a very negative situation. I mean, I had clients that were calling me saying, I went in my driveway or I went outside somewhere to do this session because I just didn't want to be, even if they could have closed the door and had the session privately, they just wanted to be away from even people who they did love, like their kids, even if it wasn't a bad relationship, people's morning routines, returning phone calls in the car or whatever they do, it does make a difference for people in a positive way, keeps people human. And the pandemic took that away from many people. On the contrary, though, I'll share a little bit about myself. I have two kids, now 11 and 14, that I spent a lot more time with during the pandemic. And it was actually a beautiful experience because I became a better cook. I was doing like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And we would just spend a lot of time together, and it was very nice. But there was situations, and I'm able to work from home, but the essential workers and just people who don't have that luxury, it was very stressful for many people, being in the home and not being able to quote unquote escape.
Yeah. Thank you, Dawn. Absolutely. I agree. It, like, what Felicia said, it either brought you closer or it made you really analyze the relationship. Certainly. And I love that math, by the way, Felicia. All right, Zoran, I want you to take this question. Can anxiety be decreased by self-care? Can anxiety be decreased by self-care? Is there a direct connection between self-care and decreased stress level? Can anxiety be decreased by self-care? Zoran?
Yes, absolutely. It can. Anxiety, definitely. Self-care and self-love, I like to kind of piece them together, right? Self-care and self-love allows us to really pour into ourselves, right? It allows us to stop and pause and give the love to ourselves that we often give to other people. It allows us to set boundaries, and it allows us to really just,
it's for Zoom. So this woman I know invited me to it. It's for.
Okay, let's mute. Okay, Zoran, you can go ahead.
Okay.
It allows us.
Right. So with self-care and self-love, what it does is that by doing that, by pausing and really providing that to ourselves, it improves resilience, right? It's going to activate bravery, which activates changes. So I often have clients that are struggling with anxiety. We all have some form of anxiety, right? In our day-to-day, especially you talked about the pandemic earlier. I certainly saw it increase with mental health and so forth. So being able to intentionally, we use that word a lot today. So I hope that we take that away with intention. With intention means I'm doing it with my mind, my heart, and my soul, right? So self-care allows you, if you are doing it intentionally every single day, intentionally, you are setting time to promote stability, right, in your mind, in your emotions. So self-esteem, self-care, self-love is going to promote that resilience. So when situation occurs, you're able to address it. You're able to manage it. It increases your self-confidence. It's going to reduce your stress. We talked earlier, someone mentioned sleep. We talked about eating. We talked about exercise. We talked about connection with self, connection with others. We talked about positive talk, and we talked about spirituality, right? So when you combine all of that, whatever comes your way, because it will come your way, whatever comes your way, you're able to manage it. You're able to manage it in a certain way where it's, like I said, like a Coca-Cola bottle where and you close your Coca-Cola bottle and then you shake it and then you open it. What happens? You explode, right? So this allows you to be able to not necessarily be shaken by things that's going to occur, because we know none of us are exempt from stress. None of us are exempt from situations, right? So self-care, self-love, and intentionally practicing it on a daily helps us, it equips us. So when something occurs, when something comes our way, we're able to address it with more positive and more resilience.
Resilience. Wonderful. Beautifully said. Thank you so much. And as we wrap up, Felicia, I want you to give us some self-care tips. How can self-care be incorporated into our busy schedule? How can self-care be incorporated into our busy schedule? Give us about 2 to 3 tips.
Okay, before you speak, if you could make it extremely short because we're running over time. Thank you so much.
All right. So of the ones that I mentioned before, the prayer, the devotion, we'll throw in affirmations. But for busy people, busy women like you guys and busy gentlemen, I recommend that clients use a calendar and respect the calendar. Respect your personal boundaries on your calendar, and also use a daily list of not more than 2 to 3 things. Zoran spoke about anxiety. A lot of times with a lot of responsibilities, people can get very overwhelmed. And so learning how to recognize when you start to feel, oh, okay, I gotta go do this, I gotta. So make a list, 2 to 3 things max that are attainable in your day. But also coupled with the prayer, the meditation, the devotion, breathing exercises. Breathing can really, really usher in a chance to do some self-reflection and give you a chance to reclaim and recover yourself if you start to feel those overwhelming feelings. So make a list, 2 to 3 things, use a calendar, but respect the calendar. And don't forget to put yourself at the top of your list.
Thank you. This is such a beautiful conversation. It's so informative. Thank you so much for your time. And of course, I don't want to end it without Don saying a few words. So Don, any advice, any extra tips you'd like to provide?
Thank you for that. I mean, I just believe that, mind, body, and soul. So preparing yourself for the day, getting up, say your affirmations, imagine your day and what you want to accomplish, keeping those things in realistic bounds. I believe that movement is very important, even if it's a walk or, around the blocks that you live. It can even be, 15 minutes. It's better that you move than not. And, you know, just taking care of yourself in whatever way, whatever things are important to you, trying to get those things in. I'll just say this real quick last thing that the American Psychological Association actually has self-care as an ethical mandate. You know, it's part of the ethics that we should have as mental health professionals for ourselves, because in order to help people, we really need to maintain that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for this mental wellness panel. Don Singfield, Felicia Smith, Zoran, Lazarus, Theodore, thank you so much for your expertise. My name is Kamisha Superville, founder of EBK Events. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's get some
Excellent.
emojis and some words going in the panel, how we're feeling, and also just share one thing that I guess, you know, we were not, I guess we were not conscious of, that we, you know, and how we address that. Go ahead, Dr. Neva.
Yes, well, we will move on at this time due to the time with the next speaker. So Dr. G, please introduce her.
So moving right along, some really interesting things. Everyone, you know, all our speakers, please put your information in the chat so that if folks want to, who are attending, want to, you know, connect with you, they can do so. Our next speaker is Ms. Francois. Ms. Francois is a dynamic entertainer, speaker, producer, writer, author, and game-changing trendsetter that aims to inspire. She migrated from Trinidad and Tobago in her late teens to establish a new legacy for her life. She is the host of Miss Francois Show, the Miss Francois Show, a talk show that encompasses candid conversation with a variety of entertainment and uses humor to help others with their dysfunctional relationships. She will share with us today 3 ways to keep going by looking back. Welcome.